We don't interview the likes of Neil, Paul and Roy about the challenges they face as a middle-aged white man in British shooting for obvious reasons. It's a situation that needs addressing, and experienced stalker Dr. Al Gabriel has been working to balance things out for years.
We need more women, simply just to look natural. Firstly, it's not a male sport. You know, half the population, don't forget, women represent half the population. And something as critical as conservation surely must have women in it.
Makeshift target, carcass box, lid, bit of cardboard.
This evening and tomorrow morning we're joining Al and his friend Chloe on a roebuck stalk in Northumberland.
So today we're shooting 100 grain 243 copper. This is peregrine from Edinburgh Rifles. Very odd looking.
Yeah.
Probably the ugliest bullets you've ever seen. So here you go. Really odd looking, but they work apparently. So
Let's see.
So why have you got those? Sorry, I've never heard of the...
It's peregrine, so I'm testing them out because obviously there aren't many 100 grain 243 bullets because you have to make them longer to get the weight, and they don't stabilize into 4.3 traditionally. But Edinburgh Rifles have got a system where this is actually working, so I'm testing them out to make sure that they are an equivalent replacement, so to speak. The shape is unusual, but as long as they work, I've zeroed them this morning. So far so good.
Have you used them before, Al?
First time.
Okay. So I'm the guinea pig.
Chloe is a novice stalker. She has her DSC-1 and is after more experience.
Right there? What are you worried about? Look at that.
Right there.
Ultimately, I'd love to be able to kind of manage a bit of ground, and I think it's just about building that confidence in yourself and going out with different people as well. I think you learn so much. Like, I've been out with quite a few different stalkers now, and each time I've learned something kind of different from them.
Fieldsports is already a major part of her life, training dogs, fishing, and she's been a clay and game shot for years, which helps when you work for Country Sports Scotland.
So I'm the project manager for Country Sports Scotland, and that's essentially an organisation which supports businesses in kind of advertising their country sports opportunities.
Okay. Did you enjoy it?
Very much so, yeah.
You were giving me the sort of like the
serious talk.
The LinkedIn version.
Yeah, sorry. No, I absolutely love it. I mean, I kind of live and breathe it every single day, and I think it's really rewarding as well when, you know, you work with estates and, you know, you get a customer that inquires and you match it up and they go and they have a fantastic experience and you get that feedback. So that's really satisfying as well, part of the job.
What makes Al's efforts to introduce women to stalking even more powerful is he's not what the British media or public would expect from a UK hunter. He's originally from Ethiopia. He's a scientist, a member of the Basque Council. He writes for Shooting Times. His introduction to hunting came through the TA, what's now the Army Reserve.
A couple of the guys said, you know, do you want to give deer stalking a go? And I said, yeah, sure. Joined them up before a Saturday shoot, and I was hooked basically, and it's literally been my entire existence ever since. But the shooting, I've always said this, you know, for almost a decade, the shooting community is a very welcoming community.
I found it odd that Countryfile were trying to make it an issue. People of colour are not welcome in the countryside.
Most people are genuinely, they are colour blind. In fact, most people go out of their way to accommodate me, make sure I'm looked after, etc. I knock around people's doors and say, do you mind if I shoot pigeon on your ground? Do you mind if I manage deer? Most of them say yes. You know, that tells me, you know, the countryside is quite open, and whatever issues people have had, I'm sure they must have had some issues, but I think there's more of it in urban areas than out here.
Foresters harvested the trees a few weeks ago, and with the new saplings in the ground, they want the roe kept off. These aren't just any roe, they are true British roe.
So the reason you get really impressive heads down south is where genetic meets southern minerals. Our roe bucks here don't have impressive heads, tiny heads. Even a 6-year-old will have a tiny head. They're not Germanic imports. Whenever I invite somebody to come and stalk here, I always sell it as the true English classic, and everybody comes for that. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with it, but at least there's one paper where they've done genetic studies across the country, and the Northumberland Cumbrian line, slight variation on that, and I'll take that as a selling point.
You know a bit about genetics then?
I'm a geneticist by training, yes.
It's tricky underfoot, but at least on here, away from the long grass, there's less chance of ticks. According to Al, this area is teeming with them. As a biologist, he's done plenty of research and written about these disease-infested insects.
The other thing I've noticed is you're head to toe in Rovince clothing, which is a tick-repellent style of clothing, and I'm in a t-shirt at the moment, so I'm feeling pretty vulnerable, Al. So
Where we are here probably is one of the most infested places in the whole of the island. You know, I've run drag sheets, so what I'm saying comes from experience. You have to be sensible. I've been testing this for about 6 months. I normally wear a wader type thing, so I don't like any exposure on my skin. And I wear light gloves. I don't even in the summer, I just don't like exposing skin at all. So ticks are serious because, you know, they can ruin your life. You know, still a rare disease fairly, and there's treatments for it. It's just deer stalkers are high risk, and it's very hard to get that message across an 18-year-old who just started his stalking career because he's more obsessed about gear and kit.
With no sign of life, we call it a night and line up for a brushing down.
This is the famous tick brush, all right? I'll show you how it works. You're coming from the field, before you contaminate your vehicle, arms out. It's like an airport search. There you go. Extremities back and forth.
okay.
There's so much I
Done.
can say right now.
Done. There you go.
Yeah.
You're next, David.
Come on then.
Does someone else have to do you?
There you go.
I'm not sure.
Extremities.
Jeez.
There you go. Oh. Good service.
That's
There's
what
a,
I'm
there's a
doing,
lot
pushing
of
you
it.
down.
There's so. I mean, it
Don't
should
tell
be.
your husband. And that's basically it.
Is that a particular type of brush? It's quite soft. Can I have a feel?
You can't have a feel of my brush, David.
It's now covered in ticks. That's the trouble.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
Standard bristle, standard brush.
Okay.
It's just much easier. Because green stuff just doesn't reveal ticks easily, so you can't spot them, so might as well just,
Brush it down.
you know, brush them down. It's much
Okay,
easier.
all
Most
right.
of them are around your gators, that sort of thing, and that's it.
Is this a first? This is a Fieldsports channel
That's
first.
I mean, we'd like
This is
to
the
cover
next-
innovations, but this is
This is the next kit.
this is the next thing.
Take
I mean,
1,000. That's what you need
The tick 1000.
Copyright
I
pending.
love it.
from B&Q.
It's a 4:45 a.m. rendezvous for our rose stalking party. This time we're going to stalk past the clear fell and look across some young forestry. The only thing we spot is a single doe. Either Al is doing his job or the recent heavy forestry has moved them on. On the way to our last vantage point, where Chloe shot her last buck, David asks Al about his new pulsar merger. He's a fan of this binocular-style thermal.
You can take pictures, capture videos. It's got laser rangefinder, so I can always know how far something is. It's just reliable.
And why the sort of the two eyepiece thing? Why does that work for you?
So what tends to happen is when you have a monocular, a single lens, because one eye is exposed to light, one is not, and that differential is quite difficult to resolve. So I like having this even on both eyes, so light's delivered to both eyes, and the rate between the left and the right is fairly equal. And I find that very easy to kind of focus when I switch to a rifle.
Our last spot is beautiful, with the sound of a cuckoo echoing around the valley. But the area is not giving up its deer today. After an enjoyable couple of outings, we head back to the vehicles without a Northumberland buck. There's always the tick brushing to look forward to. For more information about the pulsar merger, go to thomasjacks.co.uk, and for all the other kit you've seen, go to kitfinder.co.uk.